Hello guys, this is my video to cover my current thoughts on StarDrive, modded by the BlackBox and Combined Arms mods. I've just finished one full campaign as the humans, and there's 43 odd videos that you can see on my channel if you want more detail. And I've played about 60 hours now on StarDrive according to Steam, and most of those, so probably 40 of them, will be with the modded version. I've also played StarDrive 2, and I've played I don't know how many Space 4X games, since God was a boy, and so I'm coming to it as somebody who's not an expert at the game, but I think I've logged enough hours now to give an opinion to somebody thinking about giving it a go. I won't know what your background is, but I'm going to assume that you're familiar with Space 4X games. You may have some experience with the StarDrive franchise, but if you do, you'll probably have the opinion that it was a buggy and abandoned mess. I bought StarDrive close to when it first came out and played about 20 hours, which is absolutely nothing for a strategy game, particularly a Space 4X for me. I quickly worked out that you'd get an early rush from an AI faction, and if you dealt with that, then you'd win. The AI was broken, and so you could just start to steamroll after that point. I did like the ship design, and it reminded me of the old Space Empires games, particularly Space Empires 5. And in that series, you could design your ships with great detail. And I'll talk a bit more about ship design in a bit. I then went on to buy StarDrive 2, hoping the move to turn-based would fix a lot of the issues. And I was disappointed. Basically, the core game seems to be the same, with the real-time aspect simply broken down into slices to make it seem turn-based. A lot of the assets, etc., are completely reused. I've recently tried a Let's Play of StarDrive 2, as the developer started to update it again, but I had to abandon it due to the bugs, and I've done a short video where I advise people just to leave it for a few months. Let's see how things progress, and I've kept an eye on it on Steam, and that remains my view, basically. Guys, stay away from it for now. Don't give your time to it. Wait for the updates to come, and I'll certainly revisit it, and then we'll take another look once the updates are more advanced. But I would say that the updates coming out now for StarDrive 2, not that I want to get too sidetracked into StarDrive 2, but what I would say is the updates coming out are bug fixes for a broken and abandoned game. They are not kind of new content for a remastered version yet. Now, hopefully the developer will go that way, but at the moment, guys, exercise caution. Anyway, coming back to my story, once I finished that playthrough, I got a suggestion in the comments to give the original StarDrive a second go, but add the BlackBox and Combined Arms mods. And honestly, I was in two minds. On the one hand, I was sort of in the mood to play a Space 4X, but on the other hand, I really, I remembered disliking the original StarDrive and just feeling a little bit cheated by it, to be honest. So I think, I was in two minds, but also had quite a big feeling of sort of skepticism. But the thing that swung it for me was that I do have loads of experience with Total War games. Bloody thousands of hours since 1999, and the vast majority of those hours are with modded versions. So I know that mods can enhance and breathe new life into games. I didn't know whether it could actually rescue a broken game and turn it into a good game, but anyway, I gave it a try. And once you know where to find the mods, and I'll put links to them in this video, they're really easy to install. Just make sure your versions between BlackBox and Combined Arms match. It's super simple. So I then loaded up a game with the humans and tried to pick most of the options on medium or normal, just to try and get a sort of vanilla experience. And yeah, we're now 43 videos later, and I've had an absolutely epic time. I've enjoyed all of it. I've even done some really naff sort of faction trailers, kind of inspired by the over-the-top Sword of the Stars style, and yeah, really enjoyed myself. So I will say that you do encounter the odd bug, but we're mainly talking kind of UI glitches or stuff that you can work around. I haven't really experienced anything which has been game breaking at all, or has really annoyed me. And we've gone about 43 videos now without a crash. And also, the mod developers seem really passionate and responsive. So as bugs have been flagged up in my videos, they've squashed them. They've got on it, and I've then done a slight update to my game version. It's fixed it. The game has carried on. I haven't lost any saves or anything like that. And I've got I think an i7 processor with a GTX 1080, and it's played beautifully. So basically, I feel like the mod needs some more play testing, just to allow the developers basically to polish the game, and that will come with time. You always get a bit of that, and I wouldn't let it put you off, basically. So that shouldn't stop you playing now, but just have in the back of your mind, I suppose, that it's still in development, and so you might have to forgive the odd little wrinkle and report that to the developers, and you can actually help them. So what else should I talk about? So the AI, actually, that's a good place to start. Well, I'd say, like in many strategy games, the AI will sometimes do things you think are a little bit odd, a little bit stupid, or perhaps not in its interest. However, generally it provides a decent challenge, and I was playing on normal, and it's capable of marshalling fleets, both for attack and defense, commencing ground invasions, bombarding your worlds prior to their ground troops being sent in, and it uses varied ship designs, and it techs up, and capable of giving me some nasty surprises. You can also use the AI actually to help you. So you can use it to automate many aspects of your empire, and if you've played Distant Worlds, that'll immediately ring bells with you. And I would suggest that you do automate quite a lot of the functions. I was initially resistant to doing so and got into kind of too much micromanagement, but that's because of the scale of the game, right? So this is not a game where you have a handful of planets and sort of lovingly place each individual building or structure on a particular tile that's optimal for it to get the maximum bonuses, and sort of really kind of get the most out of every single resource, right? This is a game where you want loads and loads of planets. You want tens and tens of them, cranking up production, research, food, all of that kind of stuff. And there are different planets. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some are fertile, some have loads of minerals. There's enough difference in there to make the early game exploration interesting, but it's not as immersive as something like Galactic Civilizations or Stellaris in that side of the early empire building. However, I found that, let's say those two games, right? I found that once you get past the early stages of those games, they both kind of, become a bit stale. The difference is of the focus. So basically, in modded StarDrive, those planets are the engine room for you to be able to sort of power the machine in the game that really matters, and that machine is the ship design and construction and battles. And the ship designer is just immensely detailed. I could go on for ages about it. There's tons of components, and each of them will often have different options. The direction of fire matters, so your designs will have to reflect this with armor belts, and the positioning of shield generators to protect vulnerable systems. You might want, shield generators that have that cover other shield generators, so you've got some redundancy in there. You'll want to protect sort of systems like reactors or ammunition stores, because they will explode if they get damaged. And whilst the direction of incoming fire matters to you, it also matters outgoing. So, do you build a brawler that can fire, 360 degrees and take on a number of different threats at one time? Or do you go for kind of a sniper with just forward firing guns that tries to keep its distance? So firing arcs really matter. And in my campaign, I generally focused on sort of forward firing batteries and often found my ships flanked. When my fleets were caught strung out, I really, really suffered. So you can design space stations, carriers, drone ships, supply ships, and so on. And there's loads of models to choose from. Once your design is complete, you then send it out into the galaxy. And if it's a military ship, which is where the fun is, then that means putting it up against the AI ship in battle. And the battles are glorious, both visually and in their level of detail. Shields flash as they're hit, projectiles ricochet, ships explode as their reactors fail. And one thing, I think I've mentioned it before, I did have to get used to the scale. So in many strategy games, you'll just have, 5 to 10 ships in a fleet. And so I had to adjust because you'll get many times that number of drones, fighters, frigates, and then you've got your big capital ships kind of lumbering along. And within each of those ships, there's loads of weapons to choose from, missiles, torpedoes, all sorts of beam and ballistic weapons, and they look fantastic. And all of this plays out in real time, and you can speed up the time or you can slow it down. Generally, I kept it slow, so that is the core of the game. It's got a serviceable sort of diplomacy system and an espionage system, but they're not the game's heart. You can customize the various races to some extent, but again, it's not the true strength of the game. The strength of it is that it's probably the most engaging 4X starship designer out there. The depth is huge. And I think it's obvious that my review of this is very positive. And so I think about people who might want to play these mods, and they probably fall into two categories. So the first category is those who already own StarDrive. You've already paid for it. Unlike me, probably paid for it years ago and possibly feel bitter or just written off the game. And to you, I say, stop watching this video now. Waste not a second more, my friends. Go and download the mods and give them a go as soon as you can. Right, your time will not be wasted. The second category of people are those who don't already own StarDrive, right? And you've got to actually buy the base game. So on Steam, the game is £22.99 or £23 in British money. And that does present a bit of a dilemma because for the base game, I'd say don't buy it. It's too buggy, it's incomplete, it was abandoned. Wait for the sale and try to get it under £10 if you must have it. But with the mods, I'd say buy it at 23 quid. I've done 43 videos and I can't wait to start a new campaign. But the £22.99, the 23 quid, that obviously goes to Steam and it goes to the original developer, who deserve a bit of money because ultimately the developer was the origin for this, but it doesn't go to the modders. So I would just gently encourage you to budget a little bit more, say up to £25, and give some of that to the mod developers because they deserve it and they've breathed life into this game. And not simply rescued it and kind of put it on crutches. They have turned it into perhaps an Olympic athlete is going a little bit far, but this game is worth running with. And I don't have anything to gain financially by saying this, and the guys are doing it for the joy of it. But I would just say I think their effort should be rewarded, and the gaming world needs more of this, guys. Mods with heart and soul. And I'll stop rambling now. Thank you for listening to me, guys, and I will see you in the next one.